has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
Yeah, so make sure you get the SportsGrid app on iOS and Android. It's incredible. You can watch the network on there. You can listen to the network on there. Follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. You get everything, stories, highlights, in-game odds. It's all on the SportsGrid app. You can watch us streaming now live on X every day, all day at SportsGrid-Live. Check it out. I watched Indiana play last night at Assembly Hall on the Big Ten Network against SIU Edwardsville. Their coach used to be on the Indiana staff for a long time, and he's built a good team at Edwardsville. He struggled in his first 2 years as a coach there. He doesn't have a great record, but last year they were really good, and last night they were good. They gave Indiana all they could handle. They were in the game at multiple times, and they kept hitting shots. They kept getting inside buckets from their big, and Indiana shot horribly. The only thing I thought that was a bright spot, it wasn't Ballo, it was Mbako. He had 31 for Indiana. He went off in that game for Woodson and the Hoosiers, and they won the game, but they didn't even come close to covering. They won by whatever it was, 19. They were laying 27 and a hook.
Yeah, 80-61 was the final there at Assembly Hall for the Hoosiers, who start 1-0, but now, of course, didn't cover last night. So they're 0-1 ATS, which is what really matters for all of us. Number 15, Creighton, beat UT Rio Grande. What the story here was this Ryan Kalkbrenner, 49 points in the game for Creighton.
He missed two shots.
He missed 2 shots. You know, you don't hear that often in college. Like, college is not, you don't get many 40, 45, 50 point nights. That's pretty good stuff from Kalkbrenner to start the year.
He's a monster. He's 7-footer. The guy, he's so
monster.
big. He's a man against boys, and he went to work. You know what he is? He's kind of the new Edey. He's the biggest big man in college basketball, and he's a problem.
UConn beat Sacred Heart 92-56. Weren't they laying 35.5 in that game? Was that the number?
35.5. They covered on this show yesterday. We covered. If you bet them in the game at 36.5, you lost.
They win by 36. They were laying 35.5.
It was 36.5. During this show, nuts. It was 35.5. We were on them.
Rutgers, as we said, no problem with Wagner, despite not having the kid in the lineup. 75-52. They beat Wagner.
The kid, Harper, played great. He had 20 points. He did it all. Steals, rebounds, dimes. He did it all for Rutgers. He's as advertised. I used to see this kid at 5 a.m. every day in the summer shooting with his trainer. And, this kid puts in work. And, I'd watch him hit. Literally, I'd see him hit 95 out of 100 jumpers from three-point range. Like, this kid can flat out play. He is everything. He's better than his brother, and he's as good as his dad was. And his dad was, let's face it, big time in the NBA. His brother hasn't become big time at all in the NBA, but his brother was big at Rutgers. I just think his brother was a lot heavier and less athletic as Dylan is.
Look, Rutgers got 2 guys who are going to play in the NBA. No doubt about it, play in the NBA. And sometimes that can get you very far. When you get into March, having a couple guys that are going to play at the next level. So we'll see how that goes for them. And there was one big upset last night that I wanted to note. And, man, Villanova has not been the same since Jay Wright decided to go leave and do television. They lost to Columbia last night, 90-80.
That's embarrassing.
Columbia. Can't lose to Columbia. You can't lose to Columbia. Like,
you never live it down.
Look, does the Ivy League have some tough teams? Obviously, Harvard has years where they're tough. Yale has years where they're tough. Columbia is awful. You can't lose to Columbia. Columbia is the bottom of the Ivy League. This opens the door for bettors to know that this year you're going to see Villanova on national television all the time, playing in big games, and they're going to lose them. Yeah, not a good start to them for this year. Here's tonight, lighter slate. For us on a Thursday night. We do have Florida playing Jacksonville. Wisconsin's playing Montana State. They're not a bad squad, that's for sure. Southern against Iowa. You have Idaho State at USC. And Cal Poly visiting Cal. There you go. The college basketball
St. Mary's
board.
is playing at home. They're ripped.
Yes.
Chattanooga. I like that Davis team. They cover. They're laying 2.5 at Idaho. Utah's at home in Salt Lake. USC 23.5. They're laying to Idaho State. There's tons of games tonight. Most of them are bad. SMU laying 31 to Florida A&M. Milwaukee and Northern Iowa. Detroit Mercy and the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago. Sister Jean now $1.20 still alive.
I'll give you a preview for tomorrow. We'll spend some time on it. We do have a heavy hitter game tomorrow night in college basketball, as I know North Carolina is going to Allen Fieldhouse to play Kansas tomorrow night. So that's a nice early season heavy hitter Friday night college basketball game. So we'll spend some time tomorrow on that game here on Coast to
Jayhawks are
Coast.
number one.
Jayhawks, absolutely. I know Duke's playing tomorrow night too. So you have tomorrow's a very big slate with college rack. All right, college football now. A few notes here before we get to tonight's games. Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland put out a big press release today saying, we're not firing Billy Napier. He'll be back as the Gator head coach.
I got to be honest.
I think a lot of people thought he was the number one guy on the hot seat going into this year in all of college football. They've played okay here the last few weeks. You know, they lost in overtime in Tennessee. They've played some and they're about to hit a stretch where they're probably going to get smashed these last 4 games. And I think this guy wanted to get it out before they play this heavy slate that this guy's going nowhere.
Well, they've played a lot better, there's no doubt, and they've lost all their quarterbacks. I think they're down to their 3rd quarterback. So they're not going to blame him for the season, no matter what, and they're going to bring him back. And I think there's, I think some level of concern there because he's been there now for a few years, and they've done absolutely nothing. I think that, I think the AD made the announcement and to, quell everything. But I think that the fan base, I think the boosters, the people that pay all that NIL money, they're not going to be happy.
Well, I did see some Florida people say when this came out today that another big reason for this was this kid DJ Lagway, the quarterback who got thrown in here, the freshman. He's a really good player. He's the future at Florida, and he's tied to Napier. And they feel that if they fire Napier, Lagway and a lot of their other freshmen and sophomores who are the future of that program are all going to leave. So I think because the quarterback has shown he's going to be a player, they want to keep Napier so that they don't lose the quarterback. So
that the kid at USC got benched and he ran right to the Dr. Pepper portal?
He did. Miller Moss, the USC quarterback, who of course was like a Heisman preseason guy. They beat LSU to start the year. They benched him this week. Because USC's been awful, and a story just came out that he's going to go in the transfer portal. He's leaving USC. So he gets benched right out the door. See you guys later. I'm out of here. You guys deal with it. Not my problem. 2 games tonight in college football. Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina, and FAU and East Carolina. For you tonight. Big Thursday night slate.
I want to take Coastal, but App always beats them, and then I like East Carolina. So, I hate to do it because I don't think App State's any good this year, but they're both the same. They're both, 4-4? You'd think Coastal could win a game at home, but they have no advantage.
I don't care. You told me that the coach was crushing the beers earlier with Mullen. I now am obligated to play Coastal Carolina tonight for that reason alone. I'm with Coastal here at home against App State.
Wouldn't it be great if he was in his office right now and he's already had 6?
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from 3.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're still talking about college football and what's going on with these remaining schedules in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you sent me this this morning. These are the 4 teams, of course, that are in the college football playoff right now from the Big Ten, and this is who they have remaining over these last 4 weeks of the season. You know Indiana, they play Michigan, they have a bye. They're at Ohio State, they have Purdue. Ohio State has Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, and Michigan. Oregon has Maryland, Wisconsin, a bye, and Washington. And Penn State has Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland. So other than the Ohio State-Indiana game, that's the only game involving 2 of those teams playing each other over the last 4 weeks of the Big Ten season.
Yeah, Indiana's all that Ohio State has to worry about right there, right? What did you say their 4 games are right there?
They have Purdue.
Easy.
Who stinks. They have Northwestern at Wrigley,
Easy.
who stinks.
So Indiana's the only tough game.
And they finish with Michigan, who isn't that great this year. So they're probably gonna finally
Oregon's
get some
going
revenge.
Undefeated. They're not losing any of those games. Washington's not good.
Oregon's not losing these games. I mean, do you think Oregon's gonna go into Camp Randall and lose to Wisconsin? I don't.
No.
I don't see that. And
Ohio
they're not going to lose at home.
Did they? They went in there and beat their ass.
No. And Oregon's definitely not losing at home to Maryland or Washington. So I don't think that they're going to do either of those. So
where is that Penn State Minnesota game?
That game's at Minnesota.
That could be a problem for Penn State. That game.
That would help. That would help out.
It would knock them out of the playoff if they lost.
I think that they would be in Sweatsville, absolutely.
There's the game
on the other side.
That's the game right there. We got to keep an eye on. There's the one. Indiana's probably going to lose at Columbus, and I pray that Penn State loses in Minneapolis to the Gophers, and your boy Fleck will row the boat, whatever that means.
He's having a good year. We've talked a lot about the remaining undefeated teams in college football. Who's the best one-loss team in college football? Obviously,
Georgia.
You would say it's either Georgia or Texas or Ohio State, but there are a couple other one-loss teams here. Iowa State, SMU, Notre Dame, Boise State, Pitt, Washington State, also all in the one-loss mix coming into the last month.
Look at the Raging Cajuns.
The Raging
not in the
Cajuns.
Conversation, no. It's Georgia.
No.
They're the best team. Like,
yes.
Everyone keeps trying to sell you that it's Ohio State that's going to win the national championship. I'm telling you, if they play them, they're going to beat them. If it's Ohio State, Georgia, Georgia's going to win that game.
Texas has the highest graded defense in college football this season, followed by South Carolina, Indiana. So Indiana gets pumped up about their offense. Their defense has been very good as well, ranked third. Ohio State 4, Ole Miss, and Oregon. So Ole Miss on that list. They play Georgia this week in what could be a very big game. Very big game.
For you. So here's the question. Ohio State and Indiana in a couple weeks, and we know what they both can do offensively, and we both know that they're top 5 defensively. So is the game in Columbus going to be a slugfest and a under, or is it going to be wild and an over? Because both of them play defense. Is that going to be a 20-17 football game?
I don't think so, just because of how I've watched Indiana play this year. I think that if Indiana's got a team that's going, I think it's going to be more in the mid-20s. Like, if that totals between 55 and 60, I think you might be able to talk me into an under with Indiana and Ohio State in a couple of weeks. If it's under 55, I'd probably play the over. I think there'll be some points. I don't think it'll be a 2017 type of game. I think we'll get some
too much, both of them, right? Ohio State moves up and down the field, so does Indiana, but their defenses are both so good. I just wonder what gives here.
It's going to be a fascinating game, and let's just hope that Indiana takes care of their business first this week.
It can't be everything. It can't be a great defensive game if they both are so great offensively. One of them has to break. The defensive side, one of them's going to break. Offensive side.
Yep. Mike Gundy, we've talked a lot about how Oklahoma State's having an awful year in the Big 12. On Monday, in his conference call with the media, he kind of gave the fan base the business about being upset that Oklahoma State's having a bad year. Basically saying, we've been pretty damn good around here for 20 years. Basically give us a break this year is what he was saying. He had to apologize. Another apology for us.
Here we go.
Here on Coast to Coast today.
When you're not.
Go tell him you're sorry when you're not, indeed. And Cole Leinert, quarterback, son of Matt Leinert, Heisman Trophy winner, commits to SMU. Scotty, SMU for Matt Leinert, for Leinert's son, Cole.
You know what that smells like to me? Didn't he say the other day, now it's legal to pay him all kinds of money to play in Dallas? That's why he's going there, to get paid.
And man, Matt Leinert, he's a young guy. He's already got a son going into college. We're getting old. Matt Leinert's son.
Who doesn't?
He's going to school. So how about that? But I guess you do the math, 2006, whatever. That kind of adds up a little bit. There you go. College football tomorrow, wall to wall, all the games for Saturday, all the numbers. We'll give you everything on a pain-free Friday. And we got some good games, I think. Tomorrow night, Iowa, UCLA. There's a couple Friday night games that we're going to look at, too, tomorrow. I got to get you some. Hey, it's better than FAU and whoever the hell they're playing tonight. I mean, it's Carolina. So, I mean, at least there's a Big Ten game
They're at the Rose Bowl. It's beautiful,
so.
And the cheerleaders are magnificent.
It'll be a nice day out there. All right, we'll come back. I want to play you the Boris stuff. Of course, he held court at the MLB GM meetings yesterday, and he's always entertaining. Sometimes he tries a little too hard to be very entertaining with some of the stuff that he comes up with. But we'll give you Boris on Soto. And I just saw the Mets and Cohen are going to meet with Soto next week in Los Angeles. So Cohen already has a meeting set up to see Juan Soto and the crew next week. So going to spend a lot of money, offer a lot of money.
The other one that scares me on that list is the Red Sox. Jesus, if he goes there, I may jump in the river.
can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, let's check out the stuff about Boris.
Yeah, so Scott Boris, of course, once or twice a year gives a big meeting with the media. Yesterday down in San Antonio was one of his, and of course he's got a lot of big clients this winter, Juan Soto being the biggest of them all. Here he is talking about him.
Playing in New York for Juan was really, really comfortable. He really, really enjoyed his teammates, the Yankee experience. Juan loves winning. You know, the reason Juan Soto got to New York was because Juan, with Washington and due to Peter Seidler's illness, Juan Soto wants ownership that he knows is going to support an opportunity to win annually. Well, due to the volume of interest and Juan's desire to hear, I can't put a time frame on it, but it's going to be a very thorough process for him because he wants to meet people personally, he wants to talk with them, and he wants to hear from them.
There you go.
Meet people
and you know
personally.
I know you have more from him, but the list of teams, let's face facts, that he's already got calls from, I'm worried about the Giants. I said Red Sox because you said they don't spend money anymore. I like it that way. But the Giants have been throwing money around at everybody, Ohtani, Judge, and they both blew them off. They got Chapman, but if they had Soto putting balls into that bay, it'd be like having Barry Bonds there again.
Reports are that the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Toronto, the Red Sox, the Giants, and the Rays have already reached out about Juan Soto to Scott Boris. Now, you probably laugh and go, the Rays. Oh, the Rays. I've seen this before with the Rays. Obviously, they don't have the kind of money that these other teams have, but they try to offer probably some crazy deal and, 1 year at $50 million. They offer like some weird deal and they never get it taken. I wouldn't worry about the Rays or the Sox. You're right about the Giants. They have been dying to give money away the last 3 years. Dying to give money away. And they have more to give away even after Chapman taking some from them. Like they're dying.
What are
they
the
tried giving
odds?
Snell. Here's the odds for Soto. Now, this is only available at the BetMGM in Canada. You can't get this in the United States. But for Canada, just for us, I wanted to see these odds. They have the Yankees as the favorite to get Soto back. at minus 120. The Giants are 18-1. They actually have the Cubs up there too. The Dodgers, the Mets, Red Sox further down. I think the Giants are much more of a threat than that 18-1 that they have there. I really do.
And that list had the Padres on it? You think he's going back to San Diego? You must be tripping. That's not happening.
I don't think he's going back to San Diego.
That's not happening.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Why would he have left?
Yeah. And you also sent me that thing about his numbers compared to Harper when he was a free agent at 26 years old. Soto, and we love Harper, every number was better on Soto. Soto's numbers at this age, every single number was in the Soto column. Home runs, average, everything was Juan Soto. So it's going to be, and like I told you, already set up a meeting with Steve Cohen for next week in Los Angeles, as the Mets will be, it sounds like, one of the first teams to meet with Soto and give their pitch to go and join them. I told you he's got some other clients. I don't know if this guy sits around and writes this stuff in advance, but this guy's as corny as ever. Here he is talking about Pete Alonso and Blake Snell, two of his other clients.
We hear a lot about the bear market for power hitting first baseman, and for Pete's sake, it's the polar opposite.
Oh, this guy with his lines.
There's no doubt that the Snelling salts have created a lot of whiffs, and the market has definitely awakened to Blake Snell.
Well, it helped throwing no-hitters.
Where does this guy come up with this stuff? It's just unbelievable. Top of, I have time for this. The top available starting pitchers, of course, there they are. Burns, Fried, Snell. I've seen the Yankees have actually reached out for a bunch of these guys. They're interested in Fried. They're interested in Snell. They're interested in Flaherty. Yankees have been dipping their toe in a lot. I think they're expecting to not get Soto, and they're already talking to tons of other people to spend that money.
Well, pitching wins.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10.9 last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
do a double shot every Thursday with our NFL insider, Adam Kaplan. You can follow him on X at Kaplan NFL. He's covered the league for almost 30 years. He's been with us since the jump. And we start today. And later in the second shot, we'll do Busted Cap in Your Ass. Everyone lives for that. But let's start with Thursday Night Intel as we head into Baltimore for the Bengals and Ravens rematch. The first game was crazy. 51-48, whatever it was.
Yeah, no question about it. In fact, I'm sure the Bengals would tell you they should have won that game. But look, the Bengals, they've got injury issues, okay? Their offensive line, Orlando Brown's hoping to play tonight. T. Higgins not expected to play with a quadriceps injury. They had the issue with Jermaine Burton last week, the third-round pick out of Alabama, who was what we call it deactivated. He was not allowed to play due to a violation of team rules. You can't have that. Yoshevich, the second-year receiver out of Princeton, started. They're going to get Jermaine Burton back tonight. They're going to need him. There's no question about it. When you look at the Bengals situation, this is a must-win. They know this. They cannot struggle. They got to bring it tonight. Their offense is still doing well. It's their defense. Scott, I cannot figure out what has happened to Lou Anarumo's defense. They don't have injury issues. There's no excuse. They just have not gotten together. They've been very passive against the Eagles, where they got off to a good start. Then they got passive against Jalen Hurts, and Hurts tore them apart. So they've got to play better defense. Now, for the Ravens, Isaiah Likely's not going to play with a hamstring injury. Scott, he's important for matchup purposes. One of the most athletic tight ends in the National Football League. I know he's a backup, but he is really good with matchups. Charlie Kohler's going to fill in for him, who's a really good tight end, by the way, out of Iowa State. So he's a third-year tight end, just like Likely. Deontay Johnson, who played in his first game last week, he only played 17 snaps last week. Expect him to play more tonight. And getting Deontay Johnson in there, the former Steeler and Panther, it gives them the ability, when they want to play more 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 back, which they have not really done a lot of. They're usually heavy 12 personnel and some 13 with 3 tight ends, but they'll be able to spread it out a little bit more. And Deontay Johnson, by the way, could run pretty well. That was an aggressive trade. There's no question about it. In a division which is the most competitive in the National Football League.
I got to ask you, do you think that Joey Silk thinks that Mike Brown is cheap? Not with him, not with he still hasn't done a deal with Chase, but with the rest of that roster, that he's not putting him in a position to be as loaded as some of these other teams, that he doesn't spend the money.
Well, Scott, here's the thing. Higgins didn't get his contract extended, right? He's going to miss his 5th game of the season. You mentioned Jamar Chase's contract not getting extended. They were not aggressive at the trade deadline. They did add Khalil Herbert, a running back, because of the Zach Moss injury with the neck. So they needed to do something. But that was nothing. It had nothing to do with money. They gave up a 7th round pick. But the bottom line is, as a matter of fact, the word around the league is that they more often don't re-sign some key players like Bates, the safety, and they rather get compensatory picks rather than pay players. That's just the way it is. The offensive line, by the way, has not been good enough. That's another problem with this football team. They have not invested and not drafted well enough in their offensive line. If you look at the best teams year in, year out, the Eagles, the Ravens, and other teams that are high echelon, the Niners, they do a good job of drafting their own players, developing, and signing key free agents. The Bengals have not done that. They've never blocked well enough for Burrow. You know that.
So let's go to the trade deadline and some of the improvements that were made. Like, do you like the moves the Steelers made, getting the edge rusher and getting the big receiver in Williams?
Yeah, I've been telling you about Mike Williams to the Steelers for 3 weeks, and it finally happened. I was wondering if it was going to happen when they waited to the last minute, but it was not a Steelers issue. I'm told it was a Jets issue, and they got it done. They didn't have to give up much for him. He will start opposite George Pickens. They had to do something, Scott. We've been talking about this for several weeks. They love his size. He's healthy, I'm told. You're going to see him go get the football. The downfield passing game will be there. Freiermuth now, that'll help them out. He'll be more the intermediate pass target. I like that. And you know what? The Preston Smith one is very underrated. He's in the twilight of his career. The Packers were not going to bring him back next year. The Packers wanted to move him. They're going to go with Lucas Van Ness, who was the first rounder last year as a pass rusher. But this gives them great depth now at edge rush. They've got 4 guys now. Okay, they're going to have 4 guys for the playoff run who could all rush the passer. You know, T.J. Watt, one of the top 3 pass rushers in the National Football League. You know about his injury problems in the past. You got that issue. So, and then Nick Herbig, who's got that hamstring issue, who may not even play this week, and he's been out a while. So this is a smart move. give Omar Khan, the general manager, credit. Very aggressive. And look, Scott, they're better than the odds makers. We talked about this back in May when the odds makers only gave them for the future number 7.5 wins. Then it ended at 8.5. They're obviously going to be better than that. In fact, Scott, the over 9.5 wins is only minus 125. No, I get it, as you said, and I agree with you that the schedule's harder. Folks, memo to you all. They're absolutely going to go for 9.5. That absolutely is happening. The under, by the way, is plus 105.
Listen, here's the thing I see in terms of Williams. This is the same conversation you and I have had 15 times with T. Higgins. The guy's 6'5". He goes up, climbs the ladder, comes down with the ball. There are very few corners that can match up with that type of body size and ability leaping for balls up in the air. And the guy that can throw that pass up in the air is Russell Wilson. He's great at throwing that high. He's always done it. He can throw that ball up there, and guys can go up and get that and bring that down. That's why they like Williams, because of his size and ability to climb the ladder and bring it down, somehow bring it down. Now they got two guys, a guy in Pickens that can make any kind of catch, and a guy that can go upstairs into the attic and make catches. And they got a big in Washington, and they got a big in Freiermuth. They got a running game now with a guy that's going 100 per week, every week because of the passing game. They got a pass rush. They got a secondary. What don't they have?
No, they're
Nothing.
loaded, man. I mean, honestly, they addressed the receiver position, which was by far their number one need. I know ESPN put out the story about Christian Kirk. That is true, that they were deep in negotiations before he broke his collarbone. But as I told you now for 3 weeks, they were doing all they could to get Mike Williams, because you just talked about the deep pass game. He also has got size. Very talented former first-round pick for the Chargers. And I thought the Preston Smith move was very underrated. And we'll talk in the second segment about the Steelers' injury issues, which were numerous before the bye. But talking to them, they think they're going to get 2 or 3 players back this week.
So what's the deal? The Commanders got Lattimore. What a steal. But they had to pay the price to get him.
They gave up 3 picks. No question about it. You're absolutely right. But they know there were 2 issues going into this trade deadline. They want to improve a corner. And what they'll wind up doing is when Lattimore's ready to go, we'll talk about him more in the second segment in his hamstring injury. When he's ready to go, they're going to probably move Mike Sanders still, who's their second-round pick out of Michigan, who was really drafted to be a nickel defender. He'd been playing on the outside. They'll move him to nickel. Lattimore will play outside. And as Dan Quinn said, he's absolutely right. This gives you the ability to play more man coverage. And everybody knows who follows the NFL closely, Lattimore versus Mike Evans for years, and their battles in man coverage. You're going to see this now. This helps them for yet another team that has been way better than people expected.
So you don't think he's playing against the Steelers? And I mean, that opens the door with Pickens and Williams and Freiermuth and that Steeler offense with what they've been doing, scoring 30 or more every week since they got Russ into that gig. I mean, that opens the door for Pittsburgh in this game, doesn't it?
It has to. We'll talk more about that game in a minute. But here's the thing with Lattimore. If you go back his injury history, it's been the same problem going back to Ohio State. Hamstring, okay? Before he was drafted in the first round of 2017. He phenomenal player. Top 5 corner when healthy. That's the issue with him, getting him healthy for the stretch run. They're a really good football team. They're playing way better than expected. Now, the thing they didn't get, and they really still need it, is a wide receiver. They didn't get that at the trade deadline. That's going to be an issue going forward.
I mean, he throws to McLaren so much. It's pretty obvious what he likes to do. I don't deny his talent. I don't deny his arm, his skill, a big-time college stud, and he's doing it in the NFL. I think he's been better than Caleb Williams. I think it's going to be a great game at the Dump in Landover, no doubt about it. I think the Steelers have work to do, without a doubt. They could lose that game, and then they follow it up with the game in Pittsburgh that I'm going to against the Ravens. That's going to be incredible. Same weekend, you got Bills-Chiefs. Crazy football games coming up. We got another shot with Adam Plus, busted cap in your ass.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10-point last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Adam Kaplan, our insider. We're going to still look at the key injury updates and lineup changes for a couple of games. Start with that game at the Dump and Landover. Steelers-Commanders. What a game in our nation's capital.
Who knew before the season started that the Commandos would actually be hosting an important game in Week 10, but they are. So let's get started with your Steelers. Now, as I alluded to from the first segment, and it's going to happen barring a setback tomorrow, they're going to get Zach Frazier back, their starting center. He, I'm told, graded out really highly before he suffered his ankle injury, well before the bye. And the other one, which is key, and let me explain this, Cordell Patterson, who's their kickoff returner, one of the best in NFL history. He also had an ankle injury. But he's actually a part of the running game. Super explosive, well into the 30s. That's what people don't understand. He gave something different to the running game, and he's going to be back this week again unless something happens in practice tomorrow. Now, I mentioned Nick Herbig
against the Chargers in that game I went to in Pittsburgh. He had about 6 or 7 carries for around 38, 40 yards, and they were big first down carries.
And Scott, he runs violently, man. He is so cool the way that he runs, and obviously a Pro Bowl kickoff returner. Now, Nick Herbig, who is their third edge rusher, he's been out for a while with a hamstring injury. He's still limited. He's got to practice more tomorrow to be able to get clear. But again, they made that trade for Preston Smith. This is why it was so smart for Omar Khan. Even with Nick Herbig still not 100%, they could turn to Preston Smith. This is big. So kudos to their front office. They've done a good job here. Now, let's get to the Commanders, who've been obviously one of the top 2 or 3 surprises of the National Football League. The big injury is Brad Robinson. I was told last week, leading up to the game, they thought he'd be able to play. What happened is in pregame warmups, his hamstring got tight. They didn't play him. Austin Eckler filled in and did a fine job. So he's still limited this week. He better do more tomorrow, who he's not going to play. As I mentioned earlier, they're not expecting Marshawn Lattimore to play with that hamstring problem. They got to get it right. There's no question about it. But you play the long game, by the way, with hamstring issues. You don't force it. You don't rush it. They know they're going to go to the playoffs. That's not the issue. The odds makers with the future numbers clearly believe that. It's about getting Marshawn Lattimore healthy and getting off the injury report with the hamstring. So that's where that's at. That's a great game, man. You're right. I cannot wait for this game.
Yeah, I'm just thrilled that they don't have to see Lattimore in this game on Sunday because that guy's locked down, no doubt about it. And I really don't care about his hamstring. What a game Sunday night at NRG in H-Town as the Texans are going to be wearing their gorgeous red uniforms, their new unis, against the best team maybe in the NFL. Is it the Lions?
Yes, and I believe the Lions are better than Chiefs. I know the Chiefs are still undefeated. That's pretty incredible. But Let me tell you something about the Lions. Yes, they don't have Aiden Hutchinson until deep into the playoffs of the Super Bowl if they get that far with a broken leg. But Josh Pascal has been filling in for him, who's done pretty well. Unfortunately, he missed the past 2 games due to an illness. He took all the reps today. He's going to play tomorrow. He's going to play this week, barring some unforeseen setback. And don't forget, Darius Smith. They acquired him this week, as everybody knows, from Cleveland. Now, they let him get his personal affairs together, so he's not with the football team. He's supposed to arrive tonight and practice tomorrow. Then they'll make a decision after practice if he'll play and how much he'll play. But that's a go-for-it move. Guy's 32 years old, can still play. This is a really smart move. Him and Pascal will fill in for Hutchinson. I like this. Now, the Lions, why are they so great? They win everywhere. They're at home. They're away. They're 4-0 at home, 4-0 on the road. But the Texans are 4-0 at home. But they've had some games where they squeak by. This is the big deal here. Will Anderson, their best pass rusher, he's got an ankle injury. He hasn't practiced yet. That's a problem. Derek Barnett, his backup, has been limited, but they think he'll be available. But obviously, if Will Anderson can't play, that's a problem. And as I was telling you during the break, the big issue for this football team is that receiver Nico Collins is not even clear to practice. He's not playing. He's still in IR. Stephon Diggs out for the season with the ACL. Their scoring is way down. The passing numbers are way down, and they're having problems moving the football. And that is why the Lions are a 3.5-point favorite, and they deserve to be.
All right, it's time for Bust a Cap in your ass. We're going to haul ass and hit all these games. First of all, breakfast activities in Germany with a big Stein of brew. Giants in Carolina. Giants laying 6.5.
Yeah, I like the Giants to cover this. This should be ticket brokers' day off. You would think in overseas, but it's not because they go crazy for football internationally. I like the Giants somehow to handle that in an awful game.
Bears laying 6 at Soldier Field against the Pats.
Yeah, I like the Bears to take care of business. I know they haven't looked good. They got to bounce back, and this is a good time to do it at home against the tough, competitive Patriots who can't score.
Buffalo's at Indy laying 4.
Upset special here. I like the Colts to win outright, and Flacco to bounce back.
Whoa.
I get it. He didn't play well against Brian Flores. Nobody plays well against the Flores defense. They bounce back, and they must win at home against the Bills.
All right, Minnesota at Jacksonville. The Vikings are laying 7. It looks like Mac Jones for the Jags.
Yeah, and Vikings will take care of business. Mac Jones, he couldn't play for New England. He can't play here. He's going to struggle, and nobody gets it done against Flores. Forget about it.
Denver at Arrowhead against Kansas City Chiefs laying 8. They never lose.
I know, and the reality is the Chiefs are way better than the Broncos. The Broncos got a taste of reality last week. Chiefs will take care of business.
Saints getting 3.5 at home against the Falcons.
Falcons will take care of business. I know sometimes when you have interim head coach, they play better. It ain't going to happen. Falcons will take care of business.
Niners laying 6 at Raymond James against the Bucks.
Yeah, I you know what? I like the Niners to take care of business. Off the bye, McCaffrey trending towards playing. That means everything to them. Bucks are super competitive, but they've got problems in their secondary. They're not going to get it done. The Niners will take care of business.
Washington laying 2.5 at the dump against the Steelers.
Like the Steelers, I love the trade. I love the energy. I love the Steelers this week to take care of business. I know I'm usually not on them, but I like them this week. Yeah.
Oh, you got me all fired up over here. Bust a cap in your ass. Tennessee at the Chargers at SoFi. Chargers laying 7.5.
Chargers will take care of business. The Titans can't move the football at all. They'll take care of business, and Chargers will cover this.
Jets are in the desert against Zona, and the Jets are laying 1.5.
Yeah, because everyone knows this is a must-win, and they will take care of business and win it outright and cover that 1.5.
Wrong. Philly's at Dallas. Philly laying 7.
Cooper Rush at quarterback. The Cowboys are all sorts of beat up. Eagles will take care of business. Not only win for the first time since 2017, but they'll take care of the number.
Sunday night, Detroit laying 3.5 at Houston.
Love Detroit in this game. They will take care of business.
Look at your boy, Adam Kaplan, ladies and gentlemen, getting it all in on Bust a Cap in your ass. Great stuff, Adam. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the football.
You got it.
What can you say about Hunter? Besides the fact that he's got to be healthy. Remember, he had the shoulder injury that kind of limited him at, once he got to the end of the season. 17.9, 10-point line last year, and he should be, as usual, a double-double machine. He's got to be able to continue to show the ability to try and shoot the ball from three.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Time for leftovers.
Yeah, we got a lot of leftovers, including a lot of baseball and hockey. Let's go. Cardinals are going to move catcher Wilson Contreras to first base next year. Of course, Goldschmidt gone. Contreras gets out from behind the dish. Arizona Diamondbacks GM Mike Hazen says that he has met with Jordan Montgomery in an effort to move past the harsh public comments that owner Ken Kendrick made about Jordan. Montgomery, of course, exercised his $22 million option to stay with the Diamondbacks. I still believe that by the time spring training rolls around, they will trade him to somebody else. He will not be an Arizona Diamondback.
That he would play for them after the owner said he sucks.
Well, look, this is a money thing. He was after this past year, he was never going to get $20 million from anyone to pitch next year. He'd probably get half that. So he's got to accept the option. Now they're going to get him out of town. A's GM David Force says the team will not trade Brent Rooker, and I don't believe him. Padres and manager Mike Schilt agree to an extension through 2027. The Braves do not expect Ronald Acuna Jr. or Spencer Strider to be back in time for opening day. Both have major injuries, probably May or June, more likely for them. Ohtani won't be ready to pitch at the start of 2025 due to that shoulder surgery. Now, it's his other shoulder, not his throwing shoulder, but they still say he won't be ready to pitch. Dodgers plan to move Mookie Betts back to the infield next season, which is where he was before he got hurt this year. Hockey.
Everybody loves
now
hockey.
For you. Barry Trotz isn't messing around. If Nashville does not start winning, he's going to start implementing his rebuild plan. Well, what the hell did you sign Stamkos and Marchessault and Brady Shea for then?
Trade 'em.
Those guys are not there
Trade 'em.
to rebuild, and that could happen. Hockey tonight. 3 racks of games. Let's go. The Islanders are in Ottawa, Calgary and Boston, Nashville and Florida, Montreal and Jersey.
Yeah, I like Ottawa at home. And, God, I want to have the Stones to take the Flames in Boston because they've been so average, so I'll do it. I like Florida and Sunrise and the Devils at the Rock.
The Sabres are at the Garden against the Rangers tonight. The Penguins are in Carolina against the Hurricanes. Phillies in Tampa, and Utah's in St. Louis.
Yeah, I like the Blues at home. Lightning at Amalie over the Flyers. They're stinking it up. Canes are going to kick the Penguins' ass, and the Rangers are going to do the same thing to the Sabres, of the world's most famous.
Believe it or not, we're not done. We have Chicago in Dallas tonight against the Stars. Colorado visiting 12-1 Winnipeg tonight in Ferrellapeg. Vancouver is in LA against the Kings, and Minnesota is at the Shark Tank against San Jose.
I'd puck line the Dallas Stars. I think they'll roll by a couple of goals. I like the Jets at home. I like the LA Kings at the Crypt over the Canucks. And I think the Wild go to the tank and kick the Sharks' ass. I'm even willing to puck line that.
Give me Colorado to give Winnipeg their second loss of the season tonight up there in Ferrellapeg. And finally, I have a UFC note for you. Cody Garbrandt out. Saturday night's big card at the Apex. I guess he was on the co-main event. Undisclosed injury. He was scheduled to fight Miles Johns. Miles now will not fight on the card. Big Apex fight Saturday night.
I'm surprised they don't have a card every night of the week, every night of the year now. We got a Ferrell finish. Yeah. Speaking of the UFC, alleged victim in the Conor McGregor rape case says that she got choked and raped in her Irish hotel by McGregor allegedly and thought that she was going to die. How lovely. Boy, he must have quite the temper. A dry New Jersey town votes to end a 120-year ban on alcohol sales. Ho, here's to alcohol. They're finally going to sell booze in the town. Pay everybody some money. A Long Island woman and her friends carjacked and kidnapped a stranger before killing him outside a church because he parked in front of her house. Here, let's kill the guy that parked his car in front of our house. What better things do we have to do than go kill some guy that parked in front of your house? An Iowa man is facing charges for allegedly choking a woman with the American flag, telling her, quote, "You need to die," end quote. A pizzeria in Germany is raided for selling pies with sides of cocaine. That is fantastic. Go get a pepperoni sausage and an 8-ball down at the pizzeria. GTD is next. Go to FerrellOnAbench.com. We'll see you tomorrow, 3:30 on Coast to Coast.
The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last two Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton, they will likely play in round three. The winner would play Djokovic most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on